You're all set.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Arundel Town Council Finance Committee meeting. We have a roll call. Everybody's here except Daryl Catchins. Tonight we're here to consider the 2023 audit presentation by the Brittingham Group. I think you should talk.
Yes, Jessica's here. Yeah.
So you want to come on up and tell us
Yeah.
what we need to hear?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you so much for having me here tonight to talk about your June 30th, 2023 audit. This audit was not without its challenges. I'm just going to start by saying that. You had staff turnover, lots of things, but we are here and your staff has done their best throughout the season. So I first of all, want to say thank you for that. Catherine was wonderful, Don was wonderful, everybody who I came across was very open and gave me the information that we needed in order to get them. Okay. I am with the Brittingham Group. We are an audit and tax firm out of West Columbia. So a little bit of ways from here. But we were happy to come down and do your audit. And this was our first year. So we looked at everything with a fresh set of eyes and I'm going to move on down. How about that? And if you have questions at any time, please let me know. You should have two documents in front of you. Yours is a little fancier than mine. One is gonna look like this, that's your actual audit. Okay. And then you'll have another one that looks like this. This is an auditor's communication between our firm and yours. This document we typically say is public information. Whoever wants to see it can see it. This one has a clause in the bottom that says it's our communication with you. So if you choose to share it with everybody, you can, but you certainly don't have to. All right, so everybody wants to know first thing how we do, right? Your audit report, if you go back to, I want to say it's the 4th page back, it's the page with our letterhead on it, it says that you want it on. I like to tell everybody, your audit report, these are your numbers. This is your information. This is information that you would have seen probably on a monthly basis, albeit a few years ago now, right? But it's information you should be familiar with. The only part of this report that's ours are pages of our letterhead, and those are our pages. The opinion on page 1 says that our opinion on your audit was unmodified. That's the highest opinion you can get. It means that we did not find anything after adjustments that was materially incorrect with your audit. So that's good. And I can go through this in as much detail as you want. I'll probably give you the high level overview, and then if you have questions, you let me know. The first set of statements that you see in here starts on page 4. That's the statement of net position. That's what we call the government action statements. So that includes your general fund, your water fund, all on one page. It excludes things that go out over a year's time. So we're talking about capital assets, bond debt, things like that, that are not an immediate focus are going to show up on these financials. So that's on page 4, and then on page 5 is the statement of activities. If you're in the public sector world, that'd be your income statement for the same thing. So it's the general fund and your water fund. And what I really want to look at with you is on page 6. That's where it starts breaking things down by fund. Okay, so your general fund starts on page 6. This is what we would call your balance sheet in the for-profit world. It talks about your assets on top. That's what the town owns. Your liabilities are in the middle. That's what the town owes to people. And then the fund balances on the bottom are the difference between the two. You'll see under fund balance, everybody always wants to know what's the fund balance. The non-spendable number of $6,470 is actually the very same as your prepaid expenses on top. So that's money that's already tagged. And then your unassigned fund balance is the amount that the town has available. This is a cumulative number over time. The number that the town has available to spend on general operations for the general fund. So that was $161,000. And if you go back to page 8, you can actually see a good year-over-year comparison. At the very bottom of that page, you'll see fund balance at the beginning of the year. So that was at June 30, 2022. Your fund balance was $38,965. And then at the end of the year, it was $168,391. So your fund balance increased. That's a good thing. Your revenues and expenditures are broken out. We tried to break these out very much the same way that they've been done in the past, so that you'd be able to look year over year at your numbers. But you can see you have 198,000 in grant revenues, your property tax numbers 264, 264,000. And then intergovernmental is money that's coming from places like Elton County or from state treasurer's office or places like that, so that number is fine. Expenditures are broken down by your major program areas, your major departments. We've got your general government, planning, and housing. Capital outlay is the money that you spent on projects, things that you're gonna keep for more than 12 months. So that was 108,000 during the year. And then your debt service, it breaks it down into principal and interest payments that were made during things. And then your transfers number is actually money that was transferred over into your other fund. So that number, you'll see the positive version of that one over on your water side. Any questions on that page? Good. If you'll go back a couple more pages, your proprietary fund is your water fund. And this is set up the exact same way. So you've got your assets, liabilities, and net position. The only thing you'll see different on this one is under net position. You'll see a net investment in capital assets.
Which page you
I'm on page 10 now, sorry. Your net investment in capital assets is the total of capital assets from up top minus your debt that's associated with it. Okay, so that number shows up not really as a restriction, but just as a separate number under net position to show that the town has 2,145,973 invested in your capital assets on the water. Restricted for debt service is a number that's in the bank specifically for your debt covenants.
Okay.
And if you come over to page 11, this is gonna be the revenue and expense side of your water fund. About a third, maybe half of the way down, you'll see a number that says operating loss of 215,807. That's the number we like to look at year over year. Okay, and over time, you want to see that number be a positive number to show that your water fund is going to do money for you. On page 12, you have a statement of cash flows. This really shows where your cash went for your water fund. Okay, so up top, it shows that you received some of your money from the customers of 146,000, but then it goes into detail about all the things that happened with the rest of your cash. So you received some money from grants of 241,000, you purchased capital assets of 244,000. That shows probably that those capital grants were specifically tagged for your capital asset purchases. You had some bond issuances during this year, 2023, so that was $186,000 of cash flowing in. And then you repaid debt, principal and interest there. And then at the bottom, it shows that your beginning cash balance, so that'd be June 30, 2022, was 21,660, and then your ending was 57,000. So your cash balance did increase on the water fund side during. Any questions on that? There's a second page of cash flows there, and then it goes into the footnotes, and the footnotes just support all those numbers up above, okay, all the numbers in the schedules. It talks about your significant accounting policies. The notes talk about how things are reported, government-wide versus on those fund statements, the different measurement focus for each one. And then it goes into more detail about your debt, capital assets, the lease copier that you have. I think there's a full footnote now about your lease copier. That's required by standards. And so I'll let you read through that. If you have any questions for me after tonight, if you take a look at this, you have a question, Kevin's got my contact information, and you can definitely call me or email me anytime.
Could you tell us your name again, please? I forgot.
My name's Jessica Berry. I don't know if I even told you my name, I'm sorry. I may not.
Is it Barry or Barry?
Berry,
Barry.
yeah, like the,
Like Barry. Thank you.
yes. Okay. And then if you go all the way to the back, there is a compliance section, and these are required letters, again, on our letterhead, I'm on page 34. The first one says, it's an independent auditor's report about, statements performed in accordance with government accounting standards. It talks about internal control. It talks about the fact that we don't ever issue an opinion on your internal control. We will never come in unless you ask us to do a specific separate engagement to say your internal controls are good or they're bad. But what we do is give you some information about things that we might find while we're looking at your internal controls. Okay, so that's what these letters talk about. It says, you know, you can have a material weakness, you could have a significant deficiency, and if you do, it's in this letter for you. And then any details about that would be. So that's what that letter is about, and then the compliance, not being that as well. The schedule findings and responses. And I'm happy to go into that in more detail if you'd like me to.
So if we wanted suggestions as to. Address these material weaknesses, how would we go about doing that?
So for each one, you'll see that they're laid out as a criteria, a condition, a cause and effect. Each one is something like that. And then there's a recommendation section under each finding that's in there. So we give a real general finding
Okay.
and an analysis of it and we recommend, but I am more than happy, and Catherine and I have actually discussed each of these at length. And I know your plan for going forward, so yeah, we can talk about it in detail, sure.
So you have, more or less concrete plan, plan submitted from us, what to do going forward.
So what I have is when I first came in and Randy Cooper was with me, he's the engagement partner for your audit. We came in and we pretty much grilled Catherine for a long time about all of your internal control policies and procedures. Okay, and then we used that as the standard for what we were auditing against, right? So Catherine was not here during 2023, so she told us how things are now. And so we used that as the standard that would have been in 2023. So to some degree, we were auditing against a standard that may or may not have been there at that time, if that makes sense. But we know what her plan is going for. And how she envisions things to be.
So to better understand our current situation, it would probably be best to look at the 23-24 audit, right?
Well, that's what this one is, though.
Okay.
Because this is,
No, here's the 22,
this is 23,
324, that's what it is. Okay,
June 30, 23. So to some degree, I would.
23.
23. Yeah, we're going back to June 30, 2023. This one's.
End of the ending.
Yep, so we're looking at.
Okay, so we still need 23, 24,
Yes,
and more realistically, 24, 25,
that's right.
to see what controls are in place now.
Exactly. And to some degree, I mean, we very much anticipate seeing the same issues in 24 as we saw in this 23 audit, right? Because the same people were in place then. You know, I would be surprised if things changed very much from 23 to 24. Now, when we look at 25, I expect, and I don't know this, but I expect that there will be a very bright line, that we can see when things changed when Catherine came in, right? It should match up to what we discussed.
Do we have that info now?
Of the current policies?
Yeah.
Yes, we have discussed them at the council retreat, and then we've also discussed how the plans to move forward to change some of those policies. So I'm working on the ordinance to change our financial procedures. But right now, for like our checks and balances, I have,
So that was like the, I guess, for lack of a better term, the procurement code
yes,
aspect of it.
yes, procurement, who can sign off on checks, how we issue checks. When do we do a threshold for ACH payments, credit card payments? Who approves certain thresholds on that, leading up that code? Who is able to make investments or on behalf of the town, who approves those, who doesn't?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We've been written up several years for segregation duties. And, I asked Ms. Watkins the other day, who signs her leaves and her, family, and also her teacher. But she told me that she don't have to have it signed, she don't have to have it approved. Now, we've been written up for that in the past. Could you give me some clarity on that?
Absolutely, yes. I will start by saying in the small town, segregation of duties is always going to be a challenge. Right? Because you just don't have enough bodies to do everything separately. In an ideal world, you would have one person paying bills, one person taking cash, one person reconciling the bank account, who's not even one of those people. Okay, so you have lots of people involved in your processes. The way that a lot of small towns combat lack of segregation of duties is by bringing in their council. Right, so maybe you're an authorized signing and you're looking at things before they go out the door. Or maybe you are approving, Catherine's travel or her card expenses or, things like that. And those are processes and policies that you can put in place to strengthen, just to get more eyes on things. Right?
Well, I just asked the question because we've been turned down. Or we've been written up. And the grants was given. Because of separation of duties. And then moving forward, I just need to be clear on that, even though I will not be here. I'll be gone,
Okay.
but I just wanna know what it is. So we could move on and positively.
Exactly.
That's all right, because I've been hearing it now for the past 5 years, and I know I just heard it again last week.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So yes, it's inherently an issue with small towns. I mean, the way, like I said, the way you can get around it is by involving council and having more eyes on people doing things. Of course, that's difficult when people have full-time jobs and, you have to run over here every week to sign checks. I understand that the logistics of it sometimes are difficult. Another way you can bring a third person in is to hire somebody who just looks at things on a monthly basis. So hire a really good bookkeeper or a CPA to come in and kind of close out your books once a month, right? To look at everything and to say, hey, this might be an issue, this might be a problem, from another set of eyes. So.
And that was suggested.
Mhm. So that's a great way to do it. Lots of small towns do that because, it gets one more person and it can be minutes. What other questions can I answer with me?
That's where you recommend this on page 36 under the auditor's recommendation. The third party accounting, the appropriate recourse for further segregation of duties.
Yes.
And there again, that would not be your firm.
That's right, that's right. So government are very, very clear that it cannot be us.
No.
We're allowed to do something. No, there's not very good. Oh, we're allowed to do some things, like we can assist you in putting together your financial statements. But you have to have somebody here who can take responsibility and understand those statements, and you do.
Yeah.
But we're not allowed to just do it and hand it back to you and say, here you go, take our word for it. You cannot do that. And even the things that we do that you take responsibility for, as a council and as management, we have to document those things very, very carefully.
So it's best to have an accountant. Right.
It's great to have an accountant, yes. If that's something that the town could do, it's great to have an accountant, yes.
Are there firms out there that do that kind of work or specialize in that?
There are, yeah, there are. So there's people who are really, really good at it and that's what they love to do. So that's all they do.
Is it a good idea to mix those things up or just have different people doing it, different intervals or?
So my personal recommendation, and this is just coming from me. It's good to have a person in that seat who's consistent. Right?
So would that be a good idea to utilize different funds or even different people within the same fund?
Different people in the same firm would probably be okay, but if you can get somebody who, they're here once a month and they're on your speed dial. That's the way to go. The most successful relationships I've seen between a third party accountant and a town are the one where the accountant has been consistent over time. Because then they have the history, right? They know you, they know the issues, they know kind of what's going on. So. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
We're scheduled to vote on it tonight, so you'll be right now for the next one, or are we, on a list, like now we have to go back to the end of the line and wait our turn for our next audit to start?
Okay, so how this works is.
Yeah.
We can send you the engagement letter for the 24 on it.
Okay.
Once 23 is issued and fees are paid, okay? And I don't think Randy's final bill you yet, so. So once that is taken care of, we can do the engagement letter and then see what the schedule looks like for the next one.
What's the cost?
I don't know. I actually can't speak to that. I would have to let Randy speak to that, but it. Did we come for your proposal for you? Okay, it'll be whatever's in that proposal. I can pull up the proposal and I can send it to you and all members of council. I'm sorry, that's our segregation of duties. I don't need to do that. What else?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for letting us be here. We look forward to that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. So. The next step is executive session in accordance with South Carolina Code Section 34-4-70A2 to receive legal advice protected by the attorney-client privilege concerning town audit findings. Upon returning to open session, the council may take action upon matters discussed in executive session. You all can wait outside and come. Say it again.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
No discussion.
Go ahead.
We've had, Dan's done dozens of audits since its beginning. This is the first time to my knowledge he's ever had an executive session with this, and I'm just curious as to why we're doing it now. It says legal advice. Can you help us out in that a little bit without compromising? What we're gonna be talking about, or why we need to go into a closed door session?
I think just to receive legal advice, given some of these audit findings and also some of the other things that we've talked about in prior executive sessions.
Okay, so in your professional opinion, this is
Yes.
entirely appropriate.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? No motion?
Yes.
Second,
Mhm.
all in favor?
Uh,
All right.
Yeah, back.
I move to come out of executive session.
On favor?
Please note that there were no votes or notes taken during the executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Meeting adjourned.